Hello everyone, this is the Monobethian era, and I want to welcome you back to another video. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to be critical on arguably the fastest way that you can level up in Phasmophobia. This is at Camp Woodwind, where people are using speed runs to rapidly try to figure out what ghost they're dealing with, rake in the points, and get the heck out of there. So today I'm going to be telling you why I don't think you should do that, and what you can do instead so that you can still level up relatively quickly and still enjoy the game. But first, before I get into that, don't forget to hit the like button, comment if you disagree with me or what you would do instead, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. So earlier this year, when everything was retooled, there was a natural eagerness early on to level up real quickly. People were wanting to show their ability, show how good they were at the game. And so everyone was vying for that silver bullet that would help them get all their money back fast, level up really fast, get these new badges real fast, and so on and so forth. The game also came out with this new equipment, which was really cool to play with because a lot of it was equipment that wasn't really in the game before. So people naturally turned to well-known gamers like InSim, who showed people different ways that they could level up really fast, including at Camp Woodwind. And so when InSim showed them what to do, people naturally went out there and used that as a way of leveling up. And I'm not going to lie, I did as well. At the beginning of the update, I kind of bought into that whole leveling up need and strategy, and my own competitive kind of nature came out. So I really understand why people wanted to. However, with all that said, in this video I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why I think you're going about the game wrong if you're using the strategy, and what I think you should do instead so that you could actually enjoy the game a little bit more. The number one reason why I don't like the Camp Woodwind trick to rapidly level up is because if you're doing a speed run, around 60% of the ghosts are not identifiable in one hunt. And actually, I'm being generous when I say 60%. The chances that you're going to be able to tell in one hunt, and unless it's around 9 of the ghosts, and I'm actually even being generous with that, you're not going to be able to tell very easily in one hunt. So now you've just gone in on the map, done one hunt. The vast majority of the time, you're going to just end up with these basic ghosts that you have to do more investigation to figure out if that's what it actually is that you're dealing with. And there's still an extremely high probability that you're going to get the ghost wrong. And that brings me to my number 2 reason why I don't like the Camp Woodwind trick. It's because you get caught up on speedruns and you actually can lose touch of what makes Phasmophobia great. When you're playing these other ghost hunting games, what sets Phasmophobia apart from the other games is the depth that the ghosts have. It's the little nuanced ways that you can kind of explore the maps, learn little hiding spots, learn more about the ghost's behavior, which often takes more time than a speed run to figure out. The game would be extremely dull if you could figure out every single ghost in one run every single time. And no matter how good you are, unless you're using exploits, you cannot do that. The third reason that I don't like the Camp Woodwind trick is because it's kind of a mirage. When InSim showed what to do, he was showing what you can do to succeed with the challenge, but he was showing it as someone who's actually really great at the game. And so what I find is that a lot of people look at what he does and he makes playing the game look really easy, and most people can't replicate what he's doing. And so what you'll often find is that there's a huge massacre for the vast majority of the people who are playing. And so then you're right back where you started, which is didn't get much money. Even though you didn't use much time, you still kind of wasted a little bit of time that you used where you were playing the game. This brings me to number 4, actually, which is that when you're playing at Camp Woodwind, I know it's a small map, but it's actually a challenging map. So sure, you can get out of line of sight at the picnic tables, but unless you really know what you're doing, there's a good chance you're going to get killed, especially without sprinting. Otherwise, the map is wide open. There are not a lot of hiding spots. The primary hiding spot is across the map in the bathrooms. And so now you're just kind of a sitting duck in this wide open map unless you really know what you're doing, really get lucky. And there's no reason to be completely in a place where you can't see the ghosts at all, because part of what you're trying to do essentially is see the ghost so that you can determine what it might be. And last but not least on this list is number 5, which is that other than watching for an Obake, a Diogen, and a Wraith, a lot of people who do this trick on Camp Woodwind don't know what they're actually looking for in the ghost that they're dealing with. Trust me, I've seen this go wrong a lot. Once all your smudges are burnt up at this Camp Woodwind challenge, and you're face to face with a ghost that can speed up way faster than you can because you can't sprint, you have very limited time to be figuring out what the ghost is. And unless you know by footsteps and a lot of nuanced behavior what the ghost is, and you can differentiate between two ghosts that often have very similar traits, for example, like the Thay and Moroi, you're very likely to go wrong with making a decision here, which again just means that you just are doing this repetitive challenge that's just going to end up with the same result. And so then it ends up not really being a trick at all because you just get the same result that, in fact, you would have made more money if you just did a nightmare on a lower setting on an easier map. This is what I think you should do instead. Rather than focusing on this trick to try to level up quickly, there are ways that you can still get to that higher tier equipment, work to getting those prestige badges if that's something that's important to you, and leveling up in a way that might impress others if that's also important to you. Number 1, I think you should just lower the difficulty a little bit and enjoy the maps. For example, you could go all the way to Insanity and still make a pretty good amount of money, and you'll still level up pretty quickly to where you'll get access to most of the equipment in a relatively fast fashion. If Insanity feels like it's going to be a little too easy for you, then maybe just go to like a 10-point multiplier so that you have access to things like a flashlight. You can even rig it so that you might have a cursed object and still be able to make a pretty good amount of money and also get those experience points if you're doing it in the right way. And so then you can just kind of focus on, rather than doing speed runs, you can actually focus on enjoying the maps because the developers have created pretty good maps for this game to really enjoy, and the maps also have a lot of hiding places and little secret ways that you can kind of protect yourself in them in a way that actually Camp Woodwind really doesn't have. Camp Woodwind does not have a lot of those secret hiding places that you can use and exploit in a way if you're trying to figure out what a more difficult ghost is on a more difficult setting. The number 2 thing that I think you should focus on instead of just doing this Camp Woodwind speedrun business over and over again is learn everything you can about the ghosts on lower difficulties. Go to professional, go to nightmare, and just see what those ghosts do over and over and over again. You'll pick up on a lot of nuanced stuff that you'll just kind of see what these ghosts tend to do. So if you do have to take a stab at it, you're much more likely to make an educated guess. Of course, you could still get it wrong, but winning every single time isn't something that makes a game great anyway. And when you do fail, you'll actually learn something about what you missed and why you missed it, which will help you when you're doing really difficult things like 13 plus multipliers. The third thing that I think you should do instead of focusing on Camp Woodwind is playing on the larger maps. Those larger maps will give you a bigger bonus if you discover the ghost correctly, and you can get a pretty good chunk of change even if you're doing nightmare mode or professional on something like the prison, Brownstone High School, Maple Lodge, or Sunny Meadows. And what I'll hear from a lot of people is that it's going to take way too long to find the ghost. First of all, what's the rush? Why do you need to find the ghost super fast? I never really understand that. Other than your sanity can be kind of drained, but turn the breaker on and you typically have quite a bit of time before the ghost is going to be hunting you. And also on these larger maps, actually you can survive fairly well just going into a room and closing the door because they're so big that a lot of times the ghost can't find you other than the new Maple Lodge. I will have my caveat there because there's also a lot of open space there, but there's a lot of places that you can hide, which is way different than Camp Woodwind, which again, the ghost can pretty much see you from anywhere that it is at on the map. And the number 4 thing that I think you should focus on instead of just leveling up really quickly at Camp Woodwind is just have fun. Oh my God, the game can get so boring if you go into Camp Woodwind and just do that repetitive speed run and then leave and do that for 20 times over for 65 seconds each time. The game starts to lose really what makes it great, which is the fun of the investigation combined with the fun of getting chased a little bit. So if you're doing the speed runs, in my opinion, you're losing a lot of the fun of doing the investigation part of the game. I recommend just sitting back and kind of enjoying the game rather than focusing on the leveling up part of it. So I know that sounds like a lot of complaining, and look, there's no judgment if you want to do speed runs at Camp Woodwind. Everyone has their own thing, and some people probably do find that fun. I have created a video where I do a couple of run-throughs of discovering what the ghost is at Camp Woodwind. These are not necessarily speed runs, but you can still get a lot of good information from them on how to set everything up in a way as you're going in to the challenge so that you're much more likely to figure out what ghost it is that you're dealing with. And I also added in that same video a run through of just lowering the settings a little bit at Tanglewood so that I can prove to you that you can still level up pretty quickly by doing something a little bit different that's slightly easier but still holds a lot of the challenge. So I'm curious if you agree with me or disagree with me. Please leave that in the comments. Also, if you have other tips or advice that have worked for you to level up quickly but that also maintain a lot of the fun and challenge of the game, please leave that in the comments down below as well. Otherwise, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.